you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day
Hello, I'm David Tillicki. This is my wife Mary.
I'm Mary Tillicki. We are the parents of Ben and Josie Tillicki, who go to Summit School, and actually Benjamin just finished his 4th grade year at Summit Elementary.
So Mary, I've been thinking about the benefits of inclusion, how they've really helped Ben in the classroom, and also his classmates.
Right. When I remember when Ben was being evaluated for his early childhood program, and how scary it was for us not knowing what was in store for Ben. We didn't know if he was going to be in a self-contained classroom or if he would be developmentally appropriate at that time to be in a fully inclusive classroom. And the road was very, very uncertain at that time. And I remember when he was being evaluated for early childhood, his teachers had come to the YMCA at a early childhood class, and I remember walking out and this mom asked me, why are they watching your kid? And I said, well, our son has some developmental delays and they're just kind of checking him out. And her first response to me was, well, what does he have? What does he got? And sort of insinuating like whatever he has to me was like who would define him. And so I wanted to say to her was, but I didn't, I wanted to say to her, well, Benjamin has a contagious smile and he has an amazing family and is a sister and he has everything that any kid could be. He is a lucky kid. And that's what I really wanted to say to her, and that's really what I wanted her to see at that time.
I think that really has brought out, as Ben moved forward with his education, that there are many benefits to Ben we saw. We saw Ben benefiting with his education in terms of having the ability to learn with respect for his intelligence, with respect for who he was, rather than learning from an angle of what can he understand and limiting it to that.
There's something that therapists like to say, I like to call presumed competency, and we are so lucky that Summit Elementary looks at every kid and looks at what they can do and what their potential is, and they do have a presumed competency, and they don't necessarily question just because someone's demonstrating this that they don't know that. And that has been an enormous and a great advantage for Ben in his education in his elementary years. I think we have avoided many, many, many behavioral meetings throughout his time at Summit because of presumed competency. He's competent to be a friend. He's competent to know what we're saying to him. He's competent to spell. He's competent to do math. He's done well in MAPS testing. And because of this, he is demonstrating to the world what he can do, and he's not a frustrated, pent-up kid that's screaming inside saying, no, but wait, I can do more.
And I really think more is not just limited to educational activities that Ben experienced. I think we also look at socially how well he's done, how he's developed friends, and how he's gained support and emotional support at Summit.
The class that he happened to be in for the last 3 to 4 or 5 years has been amazing. There must be amazing parents because there are amazing kids in that class who have embraced Ben from 4K all the way to 4th grade. He has never been a kid that hasn't had someone to say hello to, that has taken him under their wing. In many circumstances, the social dynamic has become a situation of support versus good or bad. When Ben would have a challenging day, I saw the teachers modeling how to support a kid. And what's beautiful about children is that they will replicate what they see. And so instead of we having kids that are saying, this kid is a bad kid because he couldn't sit in his chair all day, or this kid is a bad kid because he couldn't get it right. Instead, he saw teachers and mentors supporting him, and in kind, the rest of the class started supporting Ben. And what's even more amazing is that they supported Ben, but then they began to support each other. So it became this contagious environment of an attitude of support and looking forward, and that we all have a place in this. And it just really was such a beautiful thing to experience and to watch. It has blown me away time and time again. I'm always wondering when the shoe is going to drop. It feels like it's too good to be true for our son, who potentially could have been in a self-contained classroom and who would have never ever been able to share with the community the things that we love about him and have that influence on other people. It just wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, we had Ben earlier presented to his classroom about himself and the challenges he faced and about who he is as a person. And his classmates were there. I've never seen 4th graders basically so interested in anything, so interested in Ben, so interested in what he had to say. They were busy disciplining each other so they could listen to the next thing Ben had to show them. And that is impressive. And it really shows how, I think it really gives them an advantage, having been in the classroom, how they learn to accept each other and learn more about who a person is rather than a person's what their diagnosis is, and learn more about what they have in common with them rather than how somebody is different.
And I thought that was probably the most powerful point of that experience when Ben gave that talk. I was ready for these kids to ask, why can't he talk well? Or why does he do that thing with his hand? Because those are questions that adults ask us all the time. They want to know, what's his diagnosis? What's this? What's that? But these kids, they wanted to know, what kind of ice cream does he like? Or
what's his favorite color?
What does he do on his free time? Or
typical questions you'd want to know about somebody you want to be friends with.
How are we similar and not how are we different?
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of, call to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help.
My name is Zach.
Hi, Zach. How long have you known Ben?
I've known Ben for 4 years.
What is your favorite thing to do with Ben?
I like to swim with him. I like to go to Six Flags with him and have him ski with me.
Do you like to have Ben in your class? Why?
I like how he is caring and loving and fun and nice.
What do you like most about Ben?
How he is loving and nice and also his smile.
What is one thing you would like to tell someone new that doesn't know Ben?
No matter what happens, he's there for you, and he doesn't say mean things or anything. He's just always nice.
Hi, can you tell us your name?
I'm Andrew, Ben's friend.
Hi, Andrew. How long have you known Ben?
I've known Ben for 4 years.
What is your favorite thing to do with Ben?
Basically just hang out, play with him, go skiing with him, swim with him, go to his house, all that stuff.
Do you like to have Ben in your class?
Totally, because he is very smart, first of all, and he's loving and caring.
What do you like most about Ben?
His smile and that he's loving and that he always supports me.
What is one thing you would like to tell someone new that doesn't know Ben?
Well, if they didn't know Ben at all, I'd say that he's a loving, caring type of person who always builds you up and never let you down.
What else do you like? So who is Ben to you?
Ben, he's like a good, trustworthy brother
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who I can count on
Mm-hmm.
through all my hard times.
Whether I shall follow, follow thee to the greenwood, to the greenwood, to the greenwood, greenwood tree.
You're first, I'm second. Ready, here you go.
Come, follow, 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 follow me. Whether I shall.
And so it was pretty cool for you to have inclusion at Summit School, right? And how was it having Ben in your class?
Fun.
Fun? Because you had Ben in your 3rd grade class too, right?
I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I remember you being
Wait.
pretty in Mrs. D's class.
I actually.
I remember.
I didn't actually.
Remember he had his snacks there.
Oh yeah.
So I remember you becoming really good pals with Ben in
Yeah.
3rd grade, and then in
Oh, I
4th.
thought it was in 2nd grade. Yeah, it's in 2nd grade.
So then in 4th grade, You had the coolest class ever, right?
Yeah.
And so, when you had been in both third grade and fourth grade, did you see neat things coming from other kids too?
People started wanting to be friends with them.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that that made your school experience better too? That's what I thought. Because when I first became aware of what inclusion really is, I was one of those people who had questions, you know, from a mom's standpoint. How is this going to impact my child? And then I came to realize very quickly that inclusion is really a gift for you. And everybody has challenges, and you have challenges, and I have challenges.
Okay.
And you know what? Inclusion has been a blessing because now you have one of the coolest friends in the world, right?
Yep.
And we wouldn't know Ben, and we wouldn't know the Tylicki family if it wasn't for inclusion. So what is your favorite part of your friendship with Ben?
That I get to go to his house,
And do what?
have fun with him.
What else do you like to do with Ben?
Play outside with him.
What's Ben's favorite thing to do outside?
I don't know. Like
What was-
soccer? No, swings.
What was Ben's favorite thing to do at recess at school?
Recess.
Or just in school in general?
Swings.
The swings?
And Ben likes those.
That's cool. So you got to play with Ben at recess.
Yeah.
That's cool. So all of the boys with all
But I'm usually by myself at recess, but sometimes I play with Ben because I like to be myself at recess.
Yeah, you like to have
But
a
I like
break.
to play with Ben.
But then Ben would be playing with other kids too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it seemed like, I remember at your birthday party when you had all the boys in your class there, everybody was super excited when Ben got there late. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And
And then I went to his house after.
Yes, that's right. And then I also remember that seeing the boys in your class around Ben and then around each other, how it really brought out the best in those kids. It just seemed like there was such kindness and such concern and such commitment to one another as friends. And I think that that's what inclusion is all about. You know, just as our law has understood and developed to see that everyone has a right to be included, that came to play in your classroom. And you all are living examples of what a great thing inclusion is. I'm very proud of you for that.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of all the boys in your class. I love you, Patrick.
Yeah, me too.
My boy.
So tell us, what does inclusive practices or inclusion at Summit School look like?
So when I think of inclusive practices at Summit, I think everybody has to think of their students. All students have unique needs. And when we think of inclusive practices, is what are the things that we need to do in order to have every student equally involved in an engaging way in their classroom. And sometimes that means that we have to look at things differently. But with the goal behind all of us is what are maybe the barriers that might be in place for kids that might be something we have to look at in order to help them be successful within their classroom with the general curriculum, holding them to the same high standards, but also thinking collaboratively with the other adults around that are supporting the students around what do we need to put in place in order to help this child meet that standard that might just, challenge our thinking a little bit. But really, all students should be working within the general curriculum, within their classroom. And I believe we have the staff at Summit who really collaboratively thinks about and works together with each other in order to make that happen. I don't know, what do you think? What would you add to that?
I completely agree with what you said. And the one thing that I keep thinking in my head about inclusive practices is that all children belong in that classroom and that all children are an equal member of the community in that classroom. And again, it's just that working relationship with the teachers that think creatively for some kids that might have maybe a couple difficulties that may make it seem or appear like that could be hard to do, but just brainstorming and thinking a little bit outside of the box, and before you know it, like even the kids start to see how, oh, so-and-so could do this or so-and-so could do this. Like it's just a different way of thinking, but once you kind of get into the groove of it, it kind of falls into place a little bit easier than one might think.
One thing I would add to that is I think it's sometimes easy, and I would say that our staff at Summit does not want to go the easy route oftentimes, but it's somewhat easy to say this child can't do that, or this isn't going to work for this child. The reality is everything that we do in the class, in the school, can work. It just means that you have to think sometimes, and it's going to be a challenge, but think differently about that. And I think that takes people with that commitment inside of them of this is going to be appropriate, or this is something that all children can do. It might have to look a little bit different, but let's try and figure out how to make that happen.
You know, and I think as our district has really become stronger and had a better understanding of UDL, Universal Design for Learning, that has made it become easy per se, because we know that all kids don't have to necessarily write out their story, that there's other ways that kids can communicate what their story is, or express themselves, or how to do certain projects. I see a lot more I think that inclusive practices has become possible, or inclusion has become possible because of UDL, and that we just think about it differently.
Right. One of the things that you mentioned before about utilizing, or like peers really helping the adults also, and I see that happening a lot at Summit. Sometimes it might not be the staff who comes up with the solution, it's the kids within the classroom. And I think one of the things that we've done a pretty nice job of here at Summit is giving students their own voice in order to share that with their classmates, so that kids can understand who they are, because they just like all the staff here can be solutions to this as well.
Totally. And I think what I've really noticed, because we have inclusive practices and have all kids in the classroom for the majority of the day, is that in general, the community feels like we have empathetic students that are kind, and I see it bringing out leaders. I see it having such a positive impact on all of our students that I can't even imagine going about teaching in any other way.
So Patrick, tell me, what was it like having Ben in your class this year?
The best thing in my life.
The best thing in your life?
Yes!
That's cool. I think it was probably one of the best things in your life too.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah.